back in, everybody. A special edition of the 4D Chess Dynasty Trade Show, even though it's on the same day, same podcast drop. But Adam and I are together in the same room in Cleveland. I flew in last night for the Fantasy Football Expo, so what better way than to bring you guys content with us in the same room? For those of you on YouTube, you can see it. I'm on a big, beautiful couch. My buddy's sitting right next to me. For those of you on podcast, you'll just have to believe me. We are in the same room. What's going on, man? This is exciting as shit, ain't it?
Cleveland! This is for you!
Of course he had to do it. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Helps out the channel so much. And if you're listening on podcast form, please rate and review. Adam, you ready to do some trades, buddy?
Man, I'm ready. We're live in person. We'll see how the live trade show goes. Maybe we have to make this a real thing.
Boom. All right, so we got an A.J. Dillon trade. So a 23 third, a 24 first, a 24 second being sent away for A.J. Dillon. Now, Mr. Shy Guy, Indy's finest in our Discord, is the one receiving the picks. The third, the first, and the second. And he's sending away A.J. Dillon. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, this is for me a similar deal that you made before, Mike. Surprisingly, now Mike set the market all incorrectly. But
bad.
We got... Give me, I know the picks are 2 years out, the 24s, but I still like that class a bit. First and a second for Dillon, I'm going to take that. Give me the fluff piece on top of it. Great deal by Mr. Shy Guy here, in my opinion.
Fan-fucking-tastic. I wouldn't do deals like this if they didn't make sense for me. So I love to see when other people copy me. And he one-upped me. He got a third. I don't think I got a third on mine.
Man, he's showing you up here on your own show.
A little bit, right? He's like, hey, let me do it. I'll get an extra third. I love it.
I need to know, Juicy J. Juicy J, what are we thinking here? If you're watching, what are we thinking? And if you're not watching, we got to get you watching because I would not be taking this A.J. Dillon side at all.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the real Juicy J. I don't think that's the real one from 3-6 Mafia. I'm just going to guess. But
it can't be.
A.J. Dillon's fine. He's kind of gotten a little too much hype, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing sometimes in the 6th, sometimes in the 5th. He's fine. I'm more in on Aaron Jones this year, for sure. I do see a situation where they both can coexist and have really good years just because the offense may pivot from what we used to think of Aaron Rodgers airing it the fuck out all the time to Devontae Adams. But
yeah,
still, man, anytime I can take like something that's around a 6-round startup and flip it for a first and a second and you add a third on it, like I'm probably going to do that 100 times out of 100. So
yeah,
A.J. Dillon's fine. I get it. I really don't want to pay for those kind of backs. Like if I'm going to send that, I'm going to go up to like Gibson or JK or Cam Akers, one of these guys who's been discounted that we're a little bit higher on. So For me, that's why I'll take the pick side. Yeah,
I'm with you. I think that's another good example since A.J. Dillon's going in that 5th, 6th range where that's why I like to get my running backs early in startups. I know that's the trade talk, but when you don't get him early, you end up having to either make a trade like this or draft too highly an A.J. Dillon type, someone that, listen, if Aaron Jones gets hurt or something, sure. But right now, as the backfield is kind of split between those guys, I just can't do it, man.
I'm with you, man. All right, what do we got for number 2 here? Ooh, we got a Treylon Burks and a 24 third being acquired for Chris Olave and a 24 second. For me, these are two different tier guys. So before you get out there about how I'm the biggest Chris Olave lover out there, I am not. I've seen people take him 2nd or 3rd overall in a Superflex rookie draft within the last couple months, and I am not there yet. He's still clearly the next tier behind Burks, Wilson, London for the wide receivers. So, man, a 24 second just kind of feels right. And it's not even a true 24 second. You're doing a pick swap, right?
Right.
You send away the second, but you get a third back. So it's like glass half full a little bit.
I mean, Mike has jumped to the Olave hype train. Don't listen to him. He's not. He didn't put him in the same tier as those guys. But he's jumped aboard a little bit. But this one's not close for me, especially because the picks are 1-2 years out, and then on top of that, like you said, you're getting the pick swap back. So, like, you still can move that 24 third. What you've lost in value from that 24 second to 24 third is not anywhere near, in my personal opinion, the value jump from a Treylon Burks down to a Chris Olave. So, nice little 4D style move here by Shane T12.
That's right. That's capitalizing on the down hype of training camp, the bullshit reports that come out that get refuted by the only person who reported them in the first place.
Mike, this is why we say to chill on all the wide receiver hype, because guess what? It was fucking the spring. You couldn't get Treylon Burks for anything. 101 in startups, as in the 2022 rookie class before the landing spot and the asthma kicked in.
I think there was a situation where if you were to tell me Olave outscored Burks this year, just maybe a month or two ago, I would have thought that was realistic. But with Michael Thomas coming back to the way it is, it's looking less and less likely like Olave is going to have one of those. I mean, he'll probably be a fine piece, but just not a difference maker. Treylon Burks only has Robert Woods to contend with.
Right.
Like once he's fully integrated and going, like him being the alpha, and it's not even Robert Woods that we remember, right? This is an older version of Robert Woods coming off an ACL. That's it. Unless you're scared of, Nick Westbrook-Akine or Racey McMath.
I mean, the target competition is non-existent. And then, remember, even if let's say Chris Olave slightly outperforms Treylon Burks like in this first season, this is Dynasty. The profile of Treylon Burks is better by a lot, in my opinion, than Chris Olave. So, give me Treylon Burks here pretty easily.
Easy money. All right, so we got a big boy deal here. Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Herbert, and they're sending away Kenny Pickett for 23 first. You heard that right. 4 and a 23 second. Adam, that's your boy LeBron, right? Miami LeBron?
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, 20, and they're all 23 too, right?
All of them.
Like it'd be one thing if those are a different year, some of them. You're talking just out of the number. In a 12 team, you're looking at a quarter of the draft. So, geesh, man. This is tough. Justin Herbert, we know, is pretty much worth every bit of the 4 firsts. So, I get that side there. It is tough. It's not something I like to go ahead and pay fully 23 first, 4 of them up to go get Herbert, though, even though he's worth it. But I think where I'm going to choose the other side here, Mike, the Keta Kid side. Dalvin Cook and Zeke then are much better for me than Kenny Pickett in that second. So I can see it from both sides, but I lean the Herbert side here.
I would take Kenny Pickett over Zeke, right? If we say Herbert for 4 first, I'll take Kenny Pickett over Zeke.
Yep.
But then it's Dalvin Cook for a second.
Yikes.
Bro, I wish I could buy Dalvin Cook for a second. Like the only way I think the other side makes any sense is if you got a realistic idea of where those picks are, and a couple of them are going to be early locks.
Right.
Like if it's your own, if it's the worst team in the league by far, some guy who's just an absolute dumpster, who's doesn't matter if he makes 3 moves in a row, Adam, wins 3 trades in a row, he's still fucked.
Right.
Like he's done.
Well, to your point too there, he is getting his own first back, and just out of the sheer number, even if all 3 of those teams look like contenders today, we've seen attrition. If you haven't seen it, you're going to see it because there's contenders that always end up being pretenders. So I would say if you have the ability to control your own first going early, and then you also have by odds one of these not making the playoffs, it's intriguing. I think like if this is the best you could get for the package you're sending away, obviously you want to move off of Dalvin Cook and Zeke in a rebuild. So I could see it. And if this is the league dynamics, that's what you got to do. But I think more often than not, if I could send all this away and get Herbert, who at this point is 102, 103, locked in. Like I said, I mean, he's a top 3 pick, and we know even in best ball that Herbert is one of the difference makers. If you look at our stuff on our patreon.com/South Harmon, you'll be able to see the best ball composite score with spike weeks and consistency. Herbert's a guy that hits on both sides, and when you hit both consistency and spike weeks, you're a rare breed. So I think I lean the Herbert side still, but it's not as bad as I think it is when you really dig into it. It's not as bad for McBearcat as we may have thought when you just look at the trade outright.
Now, for 4 firsts in the same class is some crazy ass leverage. You know, Scott Connor says it, dynasty leverage, right?
Dynasty.
That's some leverage. That's some leverage having 4. I mean, if this is a 12-team league, that's, I'm not a math expert, but that's 33%, right? 1/3,
man.
All right, I'm pretty good.
Pretty good.
That Iowa education's paying off. But Adam, what would you say if that 23 second was another first in 24?
that probably would make this deal even closer. And if you're getting, I mean, because Kenny Pickett, even if you hate him, plenty of people do, he's still at worst like a 108, 109 in this class.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're really looking at 6 first-round picks.
That's a lot.
Much more enticing, and I think that 23-second, being that it's a 23-second, still a good deal. It's not a horrible deal for McBearcat, but if that was a 24 first there, and I'm in a rebuild, I'm going to have a hard time, even though I'm giving away Herbert, because I'm getting off of 2 older assets.
Yeah. And in a best ball, if it was another 24 first, hell, fucking... I'll just take my shots.
Yeah, because you're even still here, you're getting 6 assets. So
yeah,
it's not like you're getting
and they're
played.
Not shitty assets.
Yeah, you're not getting played. These are all legit assets.
All right, what do we got next here? We got Cordell Patterson, Terry McLaurin, and James Robinson being acquired for Hunter Renfrow, Kenny Gainwell, Ramondre Stevenson, and a 23 fourth. A lot of junk, right? Isn't that what you say? A lot of junk.
This deal's looking real junky. Real junky. Why? I mean, listen, I think this is one of those where if you just aren't really thinking about some of the bigger picture things here, like, all right, if you just look at the running back swaps here, the side that's getting Renfrow is probably getting better running back swaps. You know, whichever way you want to compare it, Stevenson probably over Robinson, Gainwell over Patterson, you could flip them, I'd say the same thing probably. But the difference from Terry McLaurin to Hunter Renfrow, what are you doing? This is... Hunter Renfrow had a good year last year, but you got Devontae Adams coming over, Darren Waller projected to be healthy. And third option at best on this team, and he's a guy that's not a big touchdown guy. He's a volume guy. That's where his a lot of his stats came from last year, getting a ton of targets. So McLaurin for us is now a top 15 guy. This is pretty easily that side for me.
This kind of just reminds me of like how you trick people when you're a kid, with like 3 quarters for $1, that kind of thing. Well, there's 3 of them, so right, it's got to be better.
Speaking of your boy LeBron, there was a time when they said when you give LeBron $1, he'll give you back 3 quarters.
That's fucked up, man. That's the GOAT. You can't talk about the GOAT like that.
People don't forget.
Kenny Gainwell, Ramondre Stevenson, like if you say they're like 50-cent pieces, right? Same for Patterson and Robinson. Maybe Gainwell and Stevenson are 60-cent pieces if that was a fucking thing.
Right. Yep.
So you're like, hey, that's nice. Hunter Renfrow, if you call him $1.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin's $5.
A big jump.
Like, okay, I gained 20 cents between the running backs, but I lost $4.
Yeah.
So I netted a negative $3.80. Like that Iowa math today is going strong. But that's what Adam's getting at, is just that, yeah, you get a nice jump with Gainwell and Stevenson, and I wouldn't argue that at all. And Stevenson's getting a nice bump with James White retiring, calling it quits. Maybe Damian Harris gets traded, whatever. He's looked nice. But geez, man, he doesn't make up the value gap between Renfrow and McLaurin. And I think it's, one, our love for McLaurin. Best quarterback he's ever had. I know it's gross to say, but best quarterback he's ever had. And Renfrow, I mean, could you ask for worse target competition than Devontae fucking Adams with his teammate at Fresno State, his boy, Derek Carr? And it's not like Darren Waller was part of the trade and left, where it's just like, all right, Waller's not there anymore, so Renfrow just kind of slides up and picks. No, like Waller's still there.
Yeah.
He's still going to be part of it. And then you bring in Devontae fucking Adams. Man, you're going to get more of like Hunter Renfrow from 2 years ago. And not the 100 billion targets that Hunter Renfrow got last year. So
yeah. Also, one thing to keep in mind, too, this is 2 things. One, this is a down tier gone wrong.
Yeah.
This is a down tier gone way wrong. And then on top of that, this is where, like, when Ray was doing the show, the GOAT Ray, he would talk a lot of times about, okay, best player in the deal. And sometimes when you say the best player in the deal, like if you're giving away Terry McLaurin and he's the best player in the deal, like if you look at the rest of the deal, Terry McLaurin is so different than everybody else that this is a deal you don't want to make. If you're giving up the best player in the deal and he's so far away from everybody and the other guys are very meh as regards to where Terry McLaurin is, do not make this type of deal. You're getting played.
If you look at it in a startup, right, McLaurin's in the 5th round.
Yeah, 5th round, okay. Right. Yep.
The next closest guy is Ramondre, and he's in the 9th, maybe?
9th, 10th. He might even be a 10th. Whatever, either way, 9th, 10th.
Even if he's moving up, right, he maybe makes it into the 9th.
Yep.
That's a big down tier for, whatever the hell else you're getting.
Right?
Gainwell over Patterson and Renfrow over Jrob. if you want to look at it that way. And it's, ugh. Nah, I'm good, man.
and even if it was best ball, you say in best ball I'm willing to get more Crusty like McNutted because you want acid. You're it's still a 3 for 3 here. Like Cordell Patterson probably isn't that high of a value, but you're not giving nothing. The zeros out of him, so it's just like this is a bad deal. Don't be the Eli Tanning. Be more like Eli Manning.
Yeah, look, Eli Tanning threw an interception. Imagine that.
Oh no.
Got him.
Didn't get the helmet catch this time.
All right, so we got our boy Go H Devil, Discord Patreon member for us. He acquired Dallas Goedert, James Robinson, a 23-second and a 24-second, and set away Derrick Henry and what we presume to be Derrick Henry's backup in Hassan Haskins.
Yep.
Man, I like Dallas Goedert. You know I'm an Eagles fan. But let's be honest here. Is that a high volume passing offense, Adam?
It would actually be the opposite, Mike. It's what some would say, based on just looking at numbers, the lowest passing volume offense in the league last season.
What'd they do?
And they bring over A.J. Brown to make the low volume passing offense now even more diluted with another big offense. So I like Goddard still fine. I'm not panicked on him, but
the talent's fine.
Yeah, the talent's. This is one of those where, like, I think people have talked about this before. If you change the prospect of Dallas Goedert and the guy in a similar range, Dalton Schultz, their situation, Dallas Goedert's value, he goes berserk.
Top 5, top 4.
Yeah, he's right there. I would definitely put him in the mix with any of the guys going in the top 5. Maybe not Pitts or Andrews, but
Kittle.
The Kittle range, the Waller range. I think what Goedert's there. But the reality is the situation does play in it a little bit here. I still like Goedert fine, but he's not like a huge difference maker at the position, I don't think. And then, because these are 24 and 23 seconds, like, I still like him. But I think this is a fine deal if you want to get off of Henry. I just think that there's probably a position in the year where you can time it to get more of a Dallas Goedert in a first as opposed to the 2 seconds here.
Like right about now.
Yep.
As the redrafters start coming back and Derrick Henry's starting to push back into that first round redraft mindset.
Mike, after we leave this expo and all the redraft mindset and all these people probably hype the hell out of Derrick Henry, you just waited 5 days till after the expo hype. Derrick Henry, you're getting Dallas Goedert in the 23 first.
Maybe a couple of these seconds.
Maybe you just swap one of the seconds into a first. You get a first and a second. But
and you still get Jrob if you want a Jrob.
Yeah, you get your little dart throw on the what if the Achilles injury isn't as bad anymore. I mean, it's not a bad deal for Go H Devil. I just think that you maybe could have extracted a little more. So that's my only
time it a little bit better would be my advice. Just
exactly.
Take a pause, know the market, know that Adam just talked about. We're kicking off the expo this weekend, right? We're starting this. Everybody's getting together. Like, the content's going to be crazy coming from the next week. Preseason games are starting tonight. We're recording on Thursday. So, I mean, they started last week, but that's not real. I mean, nobody played shit.
The Hall of Fame game.
You're only going to get a handful of them to play in the first week, but still, it's more real, right? Because there's only 3 of them, so you're going to get
Football's
more.
back.
Yeah, you're going to get more and more starting tonight. So, I mean, we're still kind of into it. People really haven't had their redraft drafts yet. The content's just starting to get ramped up for it. A guy like Derrick Henry, who's a redraft darling, older, 1 year, we've seen what he can do when healthy. If you have any pause like you and I do with the foot and how he's going to come back and maybe a little bit of a fade, you got to know that probably right now, when this trade was made, isn't the best time to sell him.
Probably not.
Just wait a few weeks, and you would have gotten something else. Unless he comes out, I don't think he's going to play in the preseason. I don't think they're that stupid. But if he were to come out in the preseason and look slow and look like he did in the playoffs, different story. Like, then the value really starts to go down. But Adam, I don't think you're at risk for that.
Adam, I don't get you. You were just crushing Derrick Henry on the show a couple weeks ago. Well, compared to Cam Akers, but like 2 seconds is a different story. So, not a horrible deal. I think I'm not even a guy to buy Derrick Henry, but if this is lineup and I could buy him for this, I would do it. In best ball, I think this league is best ball. I'm not actually 100% sure, but if it's best ball, much more reasonable to take the Go H Devil side of this deal here.
For sure. I would have rather just had a first, though.
Yep.
First would have made it easier for me to comprehend.
Just make it nice and clean. Give me the first, man. We'll go part our ways.
Even if it's in 24.
Yeah.
Even if it's in 24.
Would have been fine there. Let's go on to the next one. We got here Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, we got Calvin Ridley being acquired for Julio Jones and a 23 third. I thought earlier it was junky. This is super junky. No offense, Calvin or Julio. You guys are dynamic players, but value-wise, like, this is junk tier.
You guys can. Mike's got coming in here. Needs chair set up. He needs,
I'm needy.
Look at this deal. Well, you can't pull a better deal than this fucking Rick Reese. I don't know how you got on the show with this damn. Okay, this
I owed
deal,
him a favor.
Apparently, golly, he's always posting the trade show. So maybe Mike's like, what? I feel bad. I got to get one of his deals, and you picked this one.
Sorry.
All right, rant over. Anyway, Calvin Ridley and Julio. I think for Calvin Ridley, for me, it's one of those where I'm buying at a third, taking the risk and seeing what will happen, and I'm selling at a second. So
seems logical.
Now, when I look at this, though, so the third I'd buy for, and then the thing that throws it off a little is Julio. For me, I've been trying to get off Julio for a while, and he's basically been dead. So you have a little bit of a chance to get off of him. I would say this one, though, I would take, if I'm rebuilding, like, fuck, man, I can get off of Julio in this third and go get Calvin Ridley and take the risk there, I'm in. If I'm contending in best ball only, I might consider taking that Julio side. If it's lineup, I'm still not doing it. In best ball, you're a contender. Throw away this third, or you get this third back. Maybe you can use it later, and then you still have Julio in your lineup. I get it. So, gross to look at, but not horrible, I guess, as far as it was constructed.
I think we said, was it last week or the week before trade show when Julio first came back, somebody traded him right away for a second.
He was straight up on here for a second.
And we were both like, that's gross. It's gross as shit. Like, I'd much rather have the second. So I think if we put Julio's value at a third too.
Well, that's what okay.
It's 2/3 for Calvin Ridley.
Good call. Yeah, if you make him a third, 2/3 for Ridley makes a little more sense too. So
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I also understand though on the Julio Jones side and the third that he's getting. Like if I'm a contender going for it this year, like in a best ball, yes. Mm-hmm. In a lineup league, let's just say, man, I'm usually not interested in them like wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 types in my lineup league. Like I do agree with Scott Connor on there. Like I have a certain range that I want to stay in, even though if it's not as good as some people where they want, a couple top 12s and a couple top 24 like types. I'm like, give me anything like 1 through 40,
right?
And let me just have 5, 6 of these guys. I'll be good. Julio Jones, I can say, is like right on that edge for me where it's like, I'm willing to take the shot and just find out if he's got that little bit. I just watched Moneyball on the airplane ride here, right? Favorite fucking movie. Where he's talking to Davis Justice. And he's like, let's be honest about what we both want here. You want to stay in the show, and I want to milk the last little bit of baseball that you got left in you.
Yep.
If I'm a dynasty manager, I'm like, I want to milk that last little bit of the greatness of Julio Jones. And if he's got one more year in, great. At this cost, man, if it cost me Calvin Ridley to do it, he wasn't helping me anyways on a contender, I think I'd be in. And I get a third, so even if Julio doesn't work out, I still got some piece that I can move later. So I like it for both sides. It makes sense. If you're a Calvin Ridley guy, shit, I don't think you're going to buy him any cheaper.
No.
Like, as the season goes on and he gets closer and closer to him possibly returning, you ain't buying him any cheaper than what he is right now.
No, I mean, yeah, I guess that's some really good points too, because the other thing I've learned, and always trying to evolve and get better at this, is used to kind of feel like thirds, like, yeah, if that's what I got to add to the deal, just do it. I mean, still for the right piece, I would do that, but now I'm a lot more willing to even take thirds as a additional piece, because you can still utilize them at the end of the day down the stretch for fluff. So now if you have your own 23 third, now you have this, you add it with some other asset, makes it a little more appealing depending on what type of piece you're trying to go get. So it's still an asset that you can now move the Julio side, as a contender, and put it in something else to go get in your lineup as well.
I love it, man. This is a good deal for both of them. Last one we got here,
Zachary,
my guy, our boy. He gives me all kinds of IDP advice, so I can't be too tough on him, right? Because he does give me some fantastic IDP advice, because I don't know fuck all about IDP yet. But I'm Not Good acquires Drake London. In return, he sends away Michael Gallup, a 24 first, a 23 second, and another 23 second. So 124 first, 223 seconds, and Michael Gallup. He acquires Drake London.
So several things to unpack here. Listen, when I start looking at this, right, and I go down the scale when I'm looking at how I would value the deal. So I start with Drake London in the first. 24 first, random, generic. I want Drake London pretty easily. You add the first 23 second from Dirty D88.
Now you thinking about it?
I'm thinking about it. I think I could still make a pretty decent case there for Drake London.
I'd be with you.
Now you add another 23 second from Undead Tortoise.
You're testing my Drake London love right now.
Now I think I'm in the position of where the way I dynasty, I'm probably selling Drake London for those pieces. I'll take my 2 seconds in 23, the 24 first, knowing that I can use those as assets. I don't even have to press the button on any one of those drafts. Then Gallup comes in there too, which I know this is lineup. And first of all, in best ball, it's disgustingly the flailing arm side. Lineup, I know that maybe Gallup doesn't do much for you this year. You're not sure when you're going to press the button on him in a small lineup league anyway. But man, all these assets, I am the way I dynasty. You may be very different listening to this and watching this. As far as you're saying, I want Drake London here easily. The way I dynasty, if I'm going to consolidate, it's very, very rarely ever going to be at wide receiver. So for me, I want the other side here. I know there's a lot of Drake London hype out there, man, but we still have our concerns.
I like going and getting your guy. I understand that mentality. That makes sense to me. I can rationalize it. I don't do it. I try to be player agnostic for the most part and just try to see where the values are. The people that are getting dunked on, I think, maybe unfairly. The people who are overhyped a little bit too much that don't really provide me difference making that I'm looking for in our dynasty. That's why I like to sell the Jamar Chases and the Justin Jeffersons, even though people rip my ass for it every time I do.
Yep.
And every time I give my opinion on it. I understand, though.
Yep.
I do understand the other side. So let me not – I'm not dunking on Zach because he's a good dude and I understand going to get it. But what you were talking about, how you prefer to play Dynasty, I'm with you on that. And wide receiver is one of those positions I won't do. One of the things I'll say, especially about the name Drake London being there, I love the talent. He's dope. He's amazing. But if I look at this deal, I think he's going to be worth less than this time next year. And it's not because of him, the talent. It's because of his situation. His quarterback situation. If you're going to explode, you're going to be the next Jamar Chase, the next Justin Jefferson, the next CD Lamb from a value standpoint at the wide receiver.
Even Waddle.
You got to have a quarterback that fits that or can propel you to that. Now, he's with Kyle Pitts, who we absolutely are enthralled with. Do you think two of those guys are going to both be able to overcome Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder and a bad team? That's the issue that I have. And I'm not saying it'd be like, Mike, you like DK Metcalf and you like Noah Fant. Different values, right? DK Metcalf and Drake London are pretty close in most people's minds and values. Noah Fant, Jesus, Adam, the video you did on him, people hate him. 12th round, for fuck's sake, Noah Fant. So I'm not projecting Noah Fant to be a top 5 tight end. I'm projecting Noah Fant just to be a back-end tight end 1, which would be fucking amazing considering where you're drafting him at. So right. Drake London, on the other hand, and Kyle Pitts, when you look at that situation, it's one is the tight end 1, and the other guy, I think in a lot of people's minds, already a top 15 wide receiver, and it's I don't know if Marcus Mariota or Desmond Ridder this year is the guy to support him. So when I see the package, I'm like, if you really like Drake London, shit, you could have got him next year for this package if that was the case.
Yeah.
And maybe you got a better quarterback situation going into it. Mm-hmm. Or the more likely case, more like Devontae Smith, is he has a good year, just doesn't do enough to move the needle for some people, and maybe it costs less.
Yeah. And actually, that's a really good point you just brought up. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you are wanting to know more about that whole Devontae Smith thing, I did a little video on it. The point is here, Mike makes a great point, and this is something that we do need to think about. I think because Drake London's being pushed up so much as far as being in a startup 4th round range, right? That's actually, he's going a little earlier than Jamar Chase was going in ADP last year.
Yeah.
Now, what's the difference, right? With Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow was throwing the football. Now, he's climbed in value because of last year, but he was a guy that we project as a really good passer of the football everyone's excited about. Good player, can support a really good receiver.
Well, we saw him supported at LSU.
Right.
Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Thaddeus Moss and Terrace Marshall. Like, we saw him support multiple top-end wide receivers receiving weapons.
And why T. Higgins went up in value was because when he was playing with Joe Burrow, he looked pretty damn good. So then you go over to Justin Jefferson. I mean, now Kirk Cousins doesn't have that same dynasty enthrall that does Joe Burrow. Another video to go check out, Joe Burrow versus Kirk Cousins, name brand, off brand. Now, here's the thing, though. Kirk Cousins is slept on and is actually way up the board. Tons of top 10 metrics in advanced passing numbers. So he can totally support Justin Jefferson breaking out. Even Jalen Waddle, who went up a certain amount, I mean, a lot of that was passing volume. He just got thrown, force-fed targets by Tua. Outside of that, like for him, Drake London is going to have to get over 1,000 yards receiving. And then on top of that, you're going to like, dude, it's not that often. Most receivers, there's only been like 10, 12 guys ever to get over 1,000 yards receiving. And he's going to have to compete with targets with Kyle Pitts on a bad football team. And he has Marcus Mariota, who's lucky to get a job again, and Desmond Ridder, who there's upside because of his athletic traits, but he supposedly has baseball mitts and isn't a great passer. So those things are working against Drake London. Listen, if you want to make the bet for it, go right ahead. But these are things to think about as far as value shifting and Drake London having to smash in order to climb value from where you're taking him now.
I think that's a big thing that the dynasty community sometimes doesn't look at is value projection and what the most realistic case or most realistic outcome is. Now, the player is phenomenal. He's been wide receiver 1 for me for quite a while. This is all thanks to Ray. Ray, if you're watching, this is you, man. Like, you got me on Drake London, and I ain't never left. But I could just acknowledge the value where I think there's a very real case where he is actually worth less this time next year. Outside of them making like a big move at quarterback, like people are still going to look at it, even if they draft a rookie, an Anthony Richardson, a Will Levis, Bryce Young, or C.J. Stroud, whoever. They'd be like, well, it's a rookie quarterback, so we got to give him some time. There's going to be some pause there, but a first 2 seconds and a guy like Michael Gallup. I'm not a high on Michael Gallup, but I mean he's nice. I mean, what would you buy him for? A late second?
Yeah, I'd buy him for a late second.
I think a late second, mid to late second.
Yeah. So basically, you're looking at the 24 first and 3 seconds here.
That's a lot.
The other thing too is even if you're going to consolidate from me, I guess it depends what you're doing here. But in Dynasty, if I'm going to consolidate these picks, I'm thinking I want to make this team move the needle to winning. And then if I'm going to do that, I'd probably rather have in the range of Drake London a guy that's going to give me more this season. So like in that range, you probably can get a T. Higgins type. You can get something in that range. Even go lower, you could get a freaking Terry McLaurin for less than this. And he's probably Michael Pittman, right? A lot of guys that will. I think we feel better about producing this season.
And none of those guys are ridiculously old either.
No. All of them are young, other than McLaurin's getting a little bit older.
You're not buying Keenan Allen or Mike Evans.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts on it. Like I said, I don't hate it from Zach's side. Not just because he's our boy, but, I understand, like, Drake London, you see the name and you get a little bit excited, right? And you get to see all the camp highlights and you go, oh, like Ray's tweeting the video out there. Can't separate, LOL. Like, looks like he separates just fucking fine to me. But Drake London, those are the thoughts on it. Let us know what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, comment below. If you're on podcast, hit us up on Twitter. That's what it's there for. Come tell us we're good, bad, stupid, ugly. You wanted us to cuddle more. However you feel.
You guys aren't close enough, And also, tell us how bad we are. Tell us that you're an idiot. Drake London's awesome. What are you talking about? This is a smash. I want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly. Tell us how ugly we are as well. This was in person live, the trade show. Let us know what you think. Comment, subscribe. We appreciate you guys all tapping in. We may not be in person next time, but we'll be back next week.
Hell yeah. Same time, same place.
We'll be here. Peace.